Buena gente, ¿cómo están? Después de un montón de tiempo volvemos a Genshin Impact, no sé ni dónde me quedé en la historia. Pero bueno, la idea es ponernos al día. Con la J veíamos las... Sí, me parece que sí, sí. Ve a la oficina de Nubilet, regresan a la base de Espina de Rosula en el río Ceniciento para descansar, pero allí se encuentran con alguien inesperado. No juego Genshin, creo que hace meses, la última vez fue cuando subí video, así que no tengo la más pálida idea en qué quedamos. Lo que sí recuerdo, dato no menor, es que saqué la espada de Ayaka. O sea, estábamos en el banner de Ayaka. Lo último que había sucedido fue creo que la charla de Arlequino con Furina. Estoy haciendo memoria porque ni siquiera vi mi propio video para saber dónde nos quedamos. Y también me estoy dando cuenta que no le puse el sonido al juego. Ahora sí. Para. ¿Qué ahora se puede saltar todo? Ah, mira qué lindo. Esto está buenísimo. Y esto... Ok. Qué lindo. No leí nada, pero qué lindo. Me gustó una banda eso. Nubeletto y Furina.
And yet the problem has not been properly solved. There is little space for excuses between us. It is not my intention to offend you, but please tell me where you stand. You are the Hydro Archon Focalor,
Qué atrás que me quede la historia, ¿eh?
Look at this. This is a list of the victims from the recent Poissons.
Poisson.
You mean they're all...
We did not arrive in time to avert this disaster, and I will not have it happen again.
Bien. Yo creo que a estas alturas ya sabíamos que él era el dragón.
I will say this once more. You must tell me everything you know. Yesterday, I found 3 stone slates in some ancient ruins near Poisson. Do you know?
Si hay un leve ruido de fondo, tipo es el aire acondicionado. Aviso.
I don't know anything about that. But
A ver.
you found them in some ancient ruins, you say?
That's correct. Which
Es
is
como
why
cambió
I
el color.
came to ask you some questions. There should have been 4 slates, but one of them was missing. The other 3 feature different images that seem to
Me
correlate
acuerdo
to
que
the
ni siquiera
prophecy.
investigué la expansión de Fontaine.
The second
Okay.
of these slates depicts the previous Hydro Archon Egeria kneeling before a floating island in the sky, as if confessing something.
I don't. I've never seen such...
I'll ask you again. Do you really have no My deciphering of the slates indicates that the Hydro Archon Egeria once had to confess to, or apologize for, a certain sin.
All gods don't have the same secrets, you know. She was herself and I'm me. Is it really so strange that I know nothing? I understand your concerns, but I'm sorry. I just don't...
Forgive me for saying this now, Lady Farina, but I have long known of your various secret investigations into certain matters. There are several indications that you have been investigating the prophecy. This is not strange in itself, considering that you are the Hydro Archon. But it is strange that you should also claim to not know any of Egeria's secrets, as you have never been as superficial as you have presented yourself to be, nor are you a fool.
So you've been watching me all this time, have you?
Me acuerdo que era
I didn't
infumable
think you were
Furina.
that tight.
Era muy cínica.
You...
Well, since you know about my secret investigations, then you should know there's no point questioning or suspecting me. You're the Eudix, but you're still my subordinate. Just trust in me. You're Archon, and do as I say. Never mind whether you can truly convince yourself to or not. That's all I have to say. We do not discuss this matter again. Oh,
Cago a pedo, me
the
encanta.
opera is about to start.
Ok.
Did Farina not notice us standing by the door? Wonder what's up with her. She was smiling. She didn't seem in the mood to care if
Ah,
we were
mira qué
listening
lindo, no
in or
sabía
not.
esto ahora. A ver. Vamos a hablar con Nubilet.
I assume you've been outside for a while now?
Él sabe todo.
You noticed. Seems Farina didn't...
She was in a great panic. though I cannot discern the reason. Our discussion reached... Still, I do not understand. Dialogue is the basis for understanding, so why did she keep refusing to engage? Everyone in her inner circle has noticed that she is hiding some secret. The issue is her attitude. I fear that she will not reveal anything unless we may have to create a situation in which she will have no choice but to speak.
Oh?
La quieren acorralar.
Normally, people will only reveal the truth when standing trial. Perhaps we must have the hydro...
But Farina's seen so many trials, and she's really good at dodging questions. How do we make sure that she won't just slip away at the first chance she gets?
We will need to consider this thoroughly, join forces with various parties, and then do what we can. If at all possible, I would prefer to recuse myself from this affair, but we must prevent the prophecy from coming to pass. This may be cruel to her, but all Fontaine is in crisis. The information a god possesses is too precious, and so we must take a chance on this. But who will lend us their aid to do such a thing?
¿Qué le van a decir a Lynette y a Lini? A ver qué onda. Yo me imagino eso. ¿Cinemática? Ah.
That's everyone, huh? Speaking of which, it was pretty smart of you to think of hiding here.
Poisson was just involved in a disaster, so it's presently devoid of people.
And here you are drinking tea like it's the most natural thing in the world, huh?
That's what families should do. Sit and enjoy a leisure...
It's nice to enjoy tea here, you know? Care for a cup?
Lend me your ears, everyone. Or perhaps one of you might like to start us off. How about you?
Habían
friend?
hecho una investigación, ¿no? Bajo tierra, algo así era. No me puedo acordar. Y se cagaron muriendo todos los... Donde vive la... Navia, algo así era, no me acuerdo.
Me?
Then how about you, good sir?
I fear that I will cause the mood on this boat to become as somber as it is in court.
Well then, I guess we're lucky we've got a local like me to organize things. Wonderful.
That was a little...
Qué hermoso personaje Clorín, de la puta madre.
Oh, you might be right. Anyway, to cut to the chase, our friend here, the Traveler, as for what that is, well, let's start by saying that we'll be pooling our...
Oh? How
Well, it's just an expression, really. One that I just learned from Chlorand, and used on the spot. So, let's invite her to explain in detail.
Huh? Didn't you say that you would be facilitating this?
Oh, come now. Your work doesn't involve much public speaking, right? This is a good chance to practice. You might even pick up some fancy...
I see. And what does my boss say?
He is glad that you consider him your boss. Do go on.
Son muy formales.
In that case, do any of you have experience hunting?
Clorín le ponían un botón más y se convertía en 4D más o menos.
Not that I recall.
Fremine and I once used a wooden stick in a basket to catch wild rabbits when we were younger. As for Lynette,
I've also gone diving to catch some fish before.
I'm afraid not. You may or may not have heard, but Fontaine once played host to a group known as the Marechaussee Hunters.
Qué lindo los ojos.
Though that was their name, they did not hunt animals, but rather various monsters left behind by the ancient dynasty of King Remus.
Creo que esto está haciendo mucho ruido. Ahí está.
Today, Fontaine's monster population has already thinned greatly, so the hunters have blended back into society, taking up arms in other lines of work. A trap comprises of the following components: bait, a trigger, and a containment device. Sometimes a lethal implement will also be necessary to deal with. So, if we were to build a trap together, right now...
for me, I would prefer something basket-shaped. Pigeons and rabbits will see the bait. Our line of work requires a deft hand, and we're some of the best in the industry, so you can...
You used some of those techniques while moving the people of Poisson, didn't you? My subordinates mentioned that you even performed some magic for the bawling children.
Yes, and I even managed to gather some intelligence in the meantime.
I'm afraid I can't claim that as my strong suit. I prefer more stable methods, like placing bait in the water.
Calm and steady. Exactly the kind of person who would catch loads of fish.
And I can be their assistant.
With discretion, I'm sure.
I'd probably use some sort of mechanical animal. Papa once bought me some small clockwork squirrels, mice, and such. When placed in the forest, they can attract... I remember that you liked those too, didn't you?
I did. And that would be a good way to go about it. If they're realistic enough.
What about you, Monsieur Neuvillette?
I fear I do not have any...
That makes sense. You usually solve problems directly, without the use of any such tricks. But I do have one more question for you, Monsieur. If we were to create a trap now, how would you design it?
I would like for it to be effective, but bring no harm to the prey. A more...
Kind, as always. However, our intention doesn't necessarily change the containment. If we wanted to kill the prey in one strike, we would need a powerful implement. However, that also goes...
Wait, why is that?
Only a hunter who's a true expert at subduing their prey can snare it without harming it. The line that divides life and death is
Se volvió muy
exceedingly
profundo.
thin.
So, are...
We hadn't thought of seeing ourselves as hunters. It kinda works, but maybe...
If our means of capturing and dealing with our prey is to put them on trial, then the hunting metaphor is actually quite accurate. But we shall require much
chabón,
more
Dios.
courage than any hunter to judge a god, a being whose seat is an exalted throne.
Oh, so
La metáfora de Chlorine en realidad no es más que eso, una metáfora. No se harán llamar cazadores porque ese no es el quid de la cuestión. Además, su relación con Furina tampoco está en un punto tan malo como ese. Solo necesitan averiguar qué secreto esconde. Es irreverente indagar en los secretos de un dios, pero deciden asumir el riesgo para evitar que Fontaine se hunda bajo el agua, tal y como predice la profecía. En este caso no existe ni un cazador ni una presa, pero sí la posibilidad de tender una trampa. Eso es lo que necesitan, una trampa. Que no sea una escena de la Travel y el Paimon yendo a dormir, por favor, que ya me cansé de eso. Esas reuniones me han dado un poco de hambre. No sé leer. La verdad no sé leer.
Hyman didn't think the meetings would go on for so long, but everyone seemed pretty fired up, huh? Hyman thought they'd be at least a little frightened. Well, Fremine was, now that Paimon thinks about it, but everyone else just
Se
looked
siente
a
con
little
más
surprised.
confianza ahora. Paimon.
Well,
A ver,
it's hard
guys.
to say. Paimon doesn't have any experience with this sort of thing. But with you around, Paimon sure will do great.
Qué grande Paimon confiando en el Traveler. En la Traveler.
After all, you're the most reliable person in the world, aren't you? Did you just pour some tea? Paimon didn't notice you doing... then what's that? Paimon's never seen that cup before.
Don't be frightened.
¿Habrá
I'm
sido
just
Mona?
joining you two for tea. I mean...
Who's that voice?
Aw, have you forgotten me already?
Wait, you are familiar. You're the voice we heard from the sky in Sumeru.
A ver.
The voice from the sky, You're feeling lost now, just as you were feeling previously. I sensed that confusion and thus came to
Un
you.
corno me está hablando.
Consider me a passerby, just accepting a commission from my friend's disciple on a whim.
Para. A
The
ver.
prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesized will be fulfilled. You may view such things as the history of the future.
What? Then is there any way we can stop it?
I believe you have witnessed a failed attempt with your own eyes. Can everything in Tevat so easily be changed? Ah, so you've caught on.
¿Esta es la madre de la chiquitita o no? La que está hablando.
Just as prophecies are usually only
La que
the
tira
future
bombitas.
as seen from the perspectives of the gods. Could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods gaze? Are the things that you shall see different from the fate that the gods perceive?
What is she talking about?
I believe that you understand, right? Some things are insignificant. Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future. This was good tea, by the way. Thank you for your hospitality.
The voice. What? I want to hear someone talking. Alright, coming! Hey, it's you who's getting lazy, okay?
Well, I see I've
Mira, ahí apareció Mona.
banter.
Mona!
Fine, just fine. I went to take part in that Steambird panel. It turned out not all Fontainians are pessimistic about this. One journalist mentioned that sitting around and waiting for the end to come would be wrong, and that they should make their own rescue preparations. I agreed, so we...
Did she have pink hair by any chance?
Why, yes,
Charlotte,
it
no?
was
Sí.
Charlotte. I assume you've heard of her, no? That I'm in full support of her view. Prophecies are very important, but how can people allow their lives to be commandeered by just...
That's right! Paimon's glad to hear something.
Ah, yes. About what we had discussed before. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't reach the old hag. I'll try again tonight, but... Huh?
Bien.
Goodness gracious. Are you serious?
She said that even the god's gaze has blind spots. Pretty bold if you ask Paimon.
The Hexen Circle members are certainly anything but ordinary. As for the mage named N, the old hag has mentioned her a few times. She said that N's sense of direction is but I've never met her. And if she were still alive, she'd be... well, suffice it to say that the hag's at least a few hundred now, and...
Whoa.
Ok.
The Hexen Circle sounds like a scary group. But
their abilities alone are pretty terrifying. If she came to see you personally, then the problem you're facing must truly be of great importance.
Well, it's not like Paimon could understand anything she said.
Yes, she was quite cryptic, but I suspect she means that there is still a way to turn things around. She didn't say when or what that would be, though, so... perhaps it is something that you cannot know right now. Traveler, Paimon, are you two all right?
Oh, we're fine. We're just a little down right now. It kind of feels like the end is coming.
I see. I feel that same sense of desperation, too.
Los ojos de Mona son re lindos.
I guess you could consider me someone who has often witnessed fate. So far, but even so, I still hope for and believe in miracles. Astrology is eternal. Perhaps that's what N was trying to tell you. Not to lose heart, and to believe that what you are seeing playing out before... I did originally think of steering clear of all this, but I couldn't. Even if this is all futile, I still wish to help everyone. If we don't struggle to the last, then how can we face the end when it comes?
Huh. You do have a point.
Son muy profundas las reflexiones, todo el tiempo.
There I go, talking about astrological principles again. Sorry about that. It was worth trying to comfort you, even if only a little. I believe that you'll help those who are struggling in the same way I did. I suppose that might be why we always seem to meet by coincidence.
Paimon feels kind of moved by what Mona said. But also kind... Hey, Traveler. Paimon suddenly feels like going out... Let's walk
¿A
around the
dónde
city,
vamos
shall
a
we?
ir?
There's a few spots we always like to walk by. Huh? Our names are written in this newspaper. Let Paimon see. The underwater stronghold, the Fortress of Meripede, has continued in its noble autonomy. But my recent attempts to enter the fortress bore little fruit. Huh. Guess Charlotte still hasn't get. Thus, did an Outlander friend become the focus of this report? A blonde adventurer with their white fairy legends trailing in their wake. It is said that this mysterious. So while the fortress's interior remains a mystery behind closed doors, do not fear, for the journalist Charlotte's biggest scoop yet. The Traveler's Trail worldwide. Huh. Charlotte took so many awesome photos of us, and we know she hasn't been able to get a hold of anything at the fortress, so since we're easier to find, she's using us as the sub. Ugh, seriously? Well, fine. Those headlines and photos.
Ok. Ok. Sigue caminando. Cazadores y profetas. ¿Qué iremos a encontrar acá? Qué raro, Paimon cagándose de hambre. A ver qué encontramos acá. Yo quiero cinemáticas, por favor.
Hey, quick! Look! That's the limited edition, only 16 slices a day cake!
Ay, Dios.
It was so delicious the last time we tried it! Despite the tense situation we were in, let's give it another go, Paimon.
One slice of cake, please.
Someone showed up after all! Oh, wait, you're the one from the Palais Mermonia.
Oh, are you here to buy cake?
Melucinas, se llaman
It
esto.
seems Monsieur Nervalette was right. You really can eat.
Wait, did he really say something like that?
That's right. Even he has his own preferences when it comes to food. As for me, I love the...
Do you come here often?
Usually every day.
Every day?
It's part of my daily schedule, apart from work. I shall have my cake.
Qué grande.
Then what if someone told you one day that this place would be closing soon, and you wouldn't?
But why would it close?
Well, Paimon doesn't know either, but maybe...
Oh, the prophecy. To be honest, I haven't paid much attention to that. No, still, even if there'd be no more cake tomorrow,
bien pensado.
no, it's the same for eating in general. You might not be able to eat tomorrow, but if you can do so today, then you should carry on.
Bastante simple.
Don't be sad. Excuse me, could I have 2 more slices of cake to go? These 2 slices are for you. Sijuin said that this kind of expression you're making is what humans call being...
Oh, you know Sijuin?
I sure do. She was born before me, and she sometimes comes to the She said that humans are creatures that are saddened easily. Yes, and you can only lift their spirits by feeding them delicious food.
Es muy
So
lindo esto que
please try
dice.
the cakes here.
O sea, no es lindo decir que se ponen tristes fácilmente. Pero está buena la analogía tipo simple. Estoy dando una vueltita de rosca, pero me pareció lindo.
I've got something else to do, so I'll be going now.
Está más duro que sorete de gato, me encanta.
There she goes. All right, let's dig in. I'm unsure this cake will... It's more delicious than last time. And the flavor...
Bueno, tuvimos un cortecito inesperado. Dice, está más rica que la última vez y sabe mejor si la acompañas con un poco de té. Ay, ¿cómo le gustaría a Paimon volver mañana? qué raro, Paimon. Bien, Paimon no dijo más nada. Tuvimos otro micro cortecito. Bien. Hay que salir de acá. Tuki. Proseguimos.
We're near the Steambird office. Let's go look for Charlotte and have a chat.
Wow! If it isn't the Traveler and Paimon! Have you...
Ha! You've got some nerve. You just used us to make some quick mora.
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I
Es
heard
re
that you were in
lindo el
Poisson
personaje de
sometime back,
Charlotte.
so I sent you a letter to discuss just that. It appears you didn't. It's all right though. I've set aside the amount intended for you. I've even set the.
Really?
Well, you're almost a little too easy to win over, Paimon. If I were.
Oh, Paimon knows you're not like...
Still, what brings you here all of a sudden?
A friend of ours met you a while back, and when she mentioned it, we thought of...
Ah, so you know Miss Mona as well. She's a guest columnist for our paper. Really good one, too. So she mentioned me?
What did she said that you're a real...
Nice. In which case, can this daredevil journalist dare to request...
Huh? article in the...
Oh, of course it doesn't. That was more like live photography. What I'd like to do is dive deeper and ask you to talk about the things you...
Yeah, are we even qualified?
Why not? If I say you're worth an interview, then you're worth it. But not right now, of course.
Ay, menos mal. Yo dije, me van a reportar ahora, me quiero cortar las dos pelotas.
Oh, so that's a yes? Ooh, splendid! I'll tell the editor-in-chief immediately. Whew, so much to get done now. Talk to you later.
Ah, menos mal.
Wait, Charlotte, Paimon's still got a question for you.
And what's that?
If, just for example, Fontaine were...
Huh, that's the prophecy you're talking about, isn't it? I mean, I do hear about it often. If you're seriously asking, then I might try and think of a way to leave Fontaine. Oh, but I'm still a journalist first and foremost. That means I have a duty to be reporting from the scene. And secondly, I wouldn't forsake... From what I've seen, most people don't know what they'd do should the worst come to pass. In truth, it might be better just to behave like normal rather than work. So in all likelihood, I'd probably still be prepping at the office for that interview of ours. I know what you're thinking. That sounds a bit sad, but I've always believed that it's best to do what you enjoy. Just think about it. If this nation really were to be suddenly destroyed tomorrow, but I still successfully finish an exclusive interview with a true... And then do you know what I'd do? Well, I'd write that story, send it for printing, and use messenger pigeons to get copies out. I'm not a dreamer, nor am I a workaholic. But I do love my job, and I'd be proud of leaving such an article behind. But anyway, that's my answer.
La banco porque es muy linda, pero... Dios.
All of a sudden, Paimon actually kinda envied. Anyway, let's go and take a look at the sea, shall we?
Paimon, si nos acercamos a algún lugar para cagarnos a piñas con alguien mejor.
The sea breeze and scenery can be a pretty soothing combo, huh? Paimon's been thinking. If it wasn't Fontaine, but all of Tevat that would be destroyed tomorrow. No, Paimon should ask if you... We've always been moving to the next destination, so we haven't spent much time thinking about these kinds of things. We didn't have to either, with us always being on the road and whatnot. You mean, still traveling? Huh. Wait!
El tiempo pasa volando mientras charlas con Paimon. Al caer la noche vuelven a su alojamiento para dar el día por terminado. Pará, lo quise leer rápido porque pensé que me lo iban a sacar al toque y me ponen clic para continuar. Los días siguientes son muy tranquilos y Charlotte se entrevista en la base de Espina de Rosura. Por favor, no me lleves a eso, gracias. Tras terminar lo que tenía que hacer en Poison, Navi regresa a la sede y toma una imagen conjunta de ustedes. Todo parece ir bien. Y ahora se pudre todo, me imagino. Animación. Oh, F.
Feels like it'll grow mold if it's still better than the Fortress of Mirapede, that's for sure. It's not only damp there, but salty too.
Ah, so the two of you are still here.
Oh, you're from
Isadora.
the aren't you?
Yes, I'm Isadora. Monsieur Nervillat sent me to look for you two before. I heard that afterward you went to the Fortress of Merope. Not at all. I'm well aware that you're friends of his. Actually, I'm here to pass along a message from him. Yes, inside the Opera House. The Maréchaussée Phantom has declared the incident a small...
A riot?
Well, that said, Lady Farina was watching a performance at the Opera House. And while she was resting, loudly accusing her of doing nothing about the... And before she could respond, others started to join in. The crowd continued to grow, and protests against the Hydro Archon started...
So people have started to put the blame on Farina. Guess they finally found an outlet for the pressure they've been under due to the prophecy.
I agree. People will naturally rely on gods, as is customary.
So what happened after that is...
Seeing that the situation was spiraling out of control, and that further argument was pointless, the Maréchaussée Phantom had their hands full maintaining order, and did not catch where Lady Farina had gone.
So... You mean she's...
That's right. The Maréchaussée has dispatched many people to search for her. That said, I don't think there's much to worry about. She is a god after all. Even if she were to fall into the hands of rioters, what could... Good. Monsieur Nervillat sent me to tell you about the situation.
Don't worry. This is more than enough to go on. Thanks.
Is that so?
¿Por qué hicieron esa cara de cómplices? ¿Qué van a hacer? Ah.
If we know Farina, she won't try to fix things in this situation. Instead, and as we also know, she may be loud and dramatic, but she doesn't have a heart of stone. When Nervalet was talking to her in the Palais Mermonia, and she heard about Poisson, she couldn't hide. It would be hard for her to ignore being accused by the Paimon thinks Farina's probably taken the opportunity to slip away to... Huh! Well, what do you think? Paimon knows the answer, of course, but Paimon can do the analysis to back it up, too. Cool, huh?
Detective Paimon, no lo voy a superar nunca, muy bueno.